Couldn't be better. I like the camera. Camera shot. Hello. Perfect day. A little shy. Why, Nick? Good toss.
Memorial Day!
Happy Memorial Day.
Memorial Day to you.
Doing great, thank you.
Hey, how are you?
Very good. How are you doing? So, blue team.
This is Catherine, our chair.
Hi.
Hyde
Oh.
Park Democratic chair.
Wonderful to meet you.
How are you? How's it going?
You gonna cry? He's gonna cry. Camera makes him cry.
Happy Memorial Day.
Yeah? Thank you for your service.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
Don't forget about Maxwell.
Nice.
Maxwell's lagging. Hey man, how you doing? Thank you.
Refill! I need a refill!
Good job, buddy.
Thank you.
Happy Memorial Day, everyone. Yay.
Channel 22. Yep.
Good job, Nathan.
Started up.
There you go. He's waving at you. There you go.
Right over here. Right by the card.
stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Susan, thank you so much for all the like 2 minutes, okay?
Happy Memorial Day!
All right, it was nice seeing you, Mariana. You guys have fun. Memorial Day.
Oh, beautiful. Oh.
And then we're going in the shade over.
I just told him that.
How was that free?
Going right behind you.
She's a puppy. She doesn't know.
Hopefully you won't do yard work. Yeah.
Guys, ready to do a Buona Buona? Ready? Buona Buona! Buona Buona! Buddha beat! Buddha beat! Sui, sui, sui! Stingray!
White Hudson River Marina gave us this boat for the day, and Hudson County GMC trusted him with the truck. They didn't trust me, they trusted him. Thank you for your service, buddy, in the back there. Thank you.
Mine's not even Guys, look at floating crayon. Mommy, look at floating.
Oh, wow, that's
It's floating.
Why do you think it's floating? Let's think about it. What do you think is holding it up?
I can see anything.
I am.
What do you think?
I feel like now.
Why do you think it's floating? What do you think is making it float?
The magic tree.
Then they're going to ring the bell.
I was thinking about parking here.
You put flag at half-mast so that you remember remembering there that you're place a wreath and hat.
your day.
That's what when they say, thank you for your service, sir. Well, these guys love it. I'm just happy to-
Morning, everyone. I'll let the siren get done doing its thing.
I'll leave you to your business.
Welcome to our 2019 Memorial Day service ceremony at the Hyde Park War Memorial. It's a beautiful day. Jesus was nice to us today. I'd like to welcome our town supervisor, Eileen Rohr, our state assemblywoman, Dee Dee Barrett, and congressperson, or congressman, Delgado, as our guest today to this wonderful ceremony we're having today. And also Dan Kuffner, which will read a letter later on from the USS Roosevelt. I'd like to have all service members and all personnel face the flag with the Pledge of Allegiance. Uncover. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The national anthem will be played by, or sung by Alina Del Vecchio from Roosevelt High School.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you so much. Very nice. Pastor Gabor from the United Methodist Church will read us an invocation. Pastor Gabor.
Thank you, Mike. Let us be in an attitude of prayer. Most holy and gracious God, we gather on this day to remember those of your creation who sacrificially gave their lives for the life of our country, its people, and the way of our life. We invite you to be present this day, blessing this time to this sacred duty, that we may not forget that peace, freedom, and justice have a cost. It is this cost that we honor this day as we reflect upon the faces and names of those who paid it for us. Make us always both mindful and grateful of the men and women who have died for our country and for our freedom. Help us to mark the empty seats they have left behind in families who continue to feel the impact of their loss, and make us quick to not only remember, but to soothe and respect this generational impact of service to our country. It is in your name that we ask this. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Gabor. Cover. I probably will miss a few people. I saw there's a few county legislators out there, county other people, Board of Hyde Park Councilman Dave Ray, Joe Marina. If I missed you, I'm sorry, but welcome anyway. And you can have it. The people up here can have a seat. Ralph, come on up while you're standing. Come on up. We'll do the reading of the names right now. Where do you want to be? We will read the names of the lost soldiers in the wars, and for every name, Ralph will ring the bell once. For the Revolutionary War, William Barber, Morgan Lewis. The War of 1812, Peter DeWitt, Jesse Ermins, John Glover, Charles Lent, Willis Moore, Davis Mulfield. We have a spirit here. See that? Job Mulfield, Samuel Mulfield, James Pauling, Burgess Smith, Abraham Stoutenberg, Jacobus Stoutenberg, James Stoutenberg, James J. Stoutenberg, Luke Stoutenberg, Peter Stoutenberg, Tobias Stoutenberg, William Stoutenberg, Frederick Ohl, and Edward Vale. World War I, William T. White, William G. Wicker, Charles Vale. World War II, Edward Brannan, Thomas W. Bircher, Russell S. Chase, Raymond Collins, William M. Du Bois, John Hammond, Alfonso Gelmorino, Newton Hover, Herbert Engelson, Donald Lister, Ellsworth Myers, Vincent M. Natisi, Frederick E. Roper, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Joseph Sherrod, Marvin E. Short, William Sundberg, William A. White, and James E. Young. Korean conflict, Ricardo DeCandro, William A. White. Vietnam, David Cardinal, Earl Menard, Frederick Troney Jr., and John Cope. I don't have any for the Afghan and Iranian conflicts. If we have any lost of any veterans from Hyde Park for those conflicts, may they rest in peace. Thank you. I would like to invite Supervisor Rohr and Dee Dee Barrett to place wreaths for the town of Hyde Park.
You're pushing. You're pushing me. You don't stop. No. You're pushing me. You're pushing me. Don't get all that space. It doesn't get all this space. Everybody's in this thing, but you're in this thing. Doesn't matter, we're not in this thing.
I would like to invite Congressman Delgado to accompany me, placing the Legion wreath.
Pushing. I was again. I was pushing.
The Hyde Park American Legion Post 1303 firing squad will fire 3 volleys. Thank you to Miss Amelia McNamara from Roosevelt High School for playing tabs. I would like to introduce Dan Kuffner, if he would come forward, please. He has a letter from the USS Roosevelt that the commander has sent. Dan Kuffner was instrumental in getting the USS Roosevelt become an adopted ship of Dutchess County. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Michael. Prior to reading the letter, I would just like you to be aware that the USS Roosevelt DDG-80 is currently at sea. They were formerly stationed in Mayport, Florida. They are now stationed in Spain. As a result of their being stationed in Europe, they are available to do certain things that all of us hope and pray that they do well and that they do safely. So please keep them in your prayers as we go forward with what's ever going on in our world today. It is my privilege to read from the commander, Matthew Moeller, the following letter. Each year, our great nation takes a pause to remember and honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our country. Since the founding of our great nation, Americans have selflessly laid down their lives to protect freedom and democracy for the homeland and other nations around the world. President Franklin D. Roosevelt provided much-needed passion and patronage to our military and was referred to as, quote, the champion of freedom by Sir Winston Churchill. It is because of his sincere dedication to our armed forces and First Lady Eleanor's devotion to the families back home that we continue to honor the legacy of the Roosevelts to this day and proudly wear their names upon our uniforms. Our mighty warship, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer nicknamed the Arsenal of Democracy, continues to uphold the legacy and spirit of Franklin and Eleanor while we journey the world maintaining freedom of seas and deter aggression. President Roosevelt's four freedoms: freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear everywhere in the world are present in the hearts and minds of the USS Roosevelt sailors who strive every day to do their jobs and uphold the values and principles on which they stand. We are forever grateful to the people of Hyde Park, New York, who have embraced our formidable ship, the resilient crew, and their eternal fighting spirit. As the sailors and their families of the USS Roosevelt observe and reflect during this Memorial Day, the remembrance of every service member and the freedom they have so valiantly fought to defend throughout history will forever be memorialized in their hearts. Our country would not be the place it is today without the sacrifice of so many great men and women that we honor this day. The USS Roosevelt, DDG-80, extends its gratitude for all who have served before, those who are actively defending this great nation, and those who gave their lives to preserve our freedom. With much respect, Matthew Molmer, Commander, U.S. Navy, Commanding Officer, USS Roosevelt, DDG-80. And again, please keep them, the crew, in your thoughts and prayers as they defend our country. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan. I would like to invite Town Supervisor Eileen Rohr to say a few words on this Memorial Day.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning, or maybe it's afternoon at this point, almost. But so good morning, everyone. And I would first like to start by welcoming everyone to Hyde Park and thanking you all for coming out and support our amazing veterans. It really is an honor and a privilege for me to be here with these great men and for us all to just share in this moment of recognizing what they've given to us, what they've given to our country. And, you know, just sitting here thinking about it, I just wish that we could all have this every day, just this amazing feeling of pride and caring for each other and just feeling like the world is ours. So it's really wonderful to be here with all of you, and I do want to give a special thank you to Mike Athanas for once again putting together a beautiful ceremony.
Thank you, Supervisor Rohr. Our next speaker is Assemblywoman Dee Dee Barrett. She has graciously came down from the high country of Albany to present a proclamation or?
I have a resolution, but also remarks.
Please come up.
Thank you, Mike, and thank all of you for being here and for remembering the significance of this day. First, before I begin my remarks, I'd like to share this New York State legislative resolution with Mike because we passed this on the floor of the New York State Assembly in recognition of the 100th anniversary of the American Legion. And this is 1919. The American Legion was founded in Paris in 1919, and here we are 100 years later, still going strong, having played an important part, which I'll talk to you a little bit about in my remarks, throughout the history of the last century in ensuring that our returning veterans have the services and the opportunities and the resources to re-enter and re-engage and continue being the leaders that they are when they're in the military. So let me share this resolution with you. I hope you'll display it at the Legion Hall, and thank you for continuing that tradition here in Hyde Park, the American Legion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, it's a privilege and an honor to commemorate Memorial Day alongside of you. And as you know, this is a day set aside for us to honor the brave men and women who gave their lives fighting for our country and our freedoms. But as we also know, too often Memorial Day weekend has become shorthand for blowout sales and easy living of summer-long days. But there was nothing easy or discounted about the lives we remember today, the people who stepped up to serve and then paid the ultimate sacrifice for the values we cherish as a country. I believe the best way to commemorate Memorial Day is to work every day to ensure that those who make it home have access to the vital resources to help them and their families transition to civilian lives. The month of May is also the month that we celebrate military families and military spouses in the state of New York, to recognize the very real service of every spouse, child, sibling, or parent of a serviceman or woman. As the first woman to chair the Assembly's Standing Committee on Veterans Affairs, I am committed to ensuring that our veterans and their families have the support and resources, the career opportunities, the housing, the mental and behavioral health services, to ensure that they can re-engage here in the community and return to their homes and be active parts of their communities. It has been a privilege to become chair the very year we celebrate the centennial of the American Legion, an organization that has perhaps done more to recognize the needs and create support for returning veterans than any other. It was, as I said before, chartered in 1919 and was established by members of the American Expeditionary Force following World War I, and it soon gained over 1 million members. As you well know, a century later, the American Legion remains one of the most influential nonprofits in the nation and is the nation's largest veteran service organization, with more than 2 million members and over 13,000 posts worldwide, including right here in Hyde Park. Support networks and programs such as the American Legion Riders, Operation Comfort Warriors, and Youth Cadet Law Enforcement have helped connect veterans to one another as well as to the next generation. Interestingly, many women veterans assumed leadership role in the early days of the American Legion, even before they actually had the right to vote for President of the United States. And this year, for the first time, the New York State Legislature funded Girls State through the Women's Auxiliary of the American Legion to match the longtime funding that we in New York State have supplied to the American Legion for Boys State. It took a woman chair of veterans to make sure that happened. Not surprisingly, the Legion was enmeshed in some of the political turmoil that roiled our country over the last century, particularly during the Vietnam War. But perhaps its most remarkable contribution was the key role that it played in developing, drafting, and fighting for the first GI Bill, originally called the Servicemen's Readjustment Act of 1944, which transformed the commitment our country made to returning veterans. Harry Colmery, the American Legion Post-National Commander who helped draft the Servicemen's Readjustment Act in the winter of 1943 and 44, said this: "Never again do we want to see the honor and glory of our nation fade to the extent that her men of arms, with despondent heart and palsied limb, totter from door to door, bowing their souls to the frozen bosom of reluctant charity." While the GI Bill has evolved and changed over the decades and continues to face challenges with the costs of higher education and health care, with the growth of for-profit colleges and other challenges, many of the original priorities remain, like educational opportunity, vocational on-the-job training, home, farm, and business loans, the review of discharges, prompt settlement of disability claims, and other things that are important to every returning vet and their family. One of my priorities as chair of Veterans Affairs is to bring attention to the mental and behavioral health challenges of returning vets in the hope that breaking down stigmas for our heroes, our veterans, it will help bring parity between mental and physical health for everyone in our communities. Earlier this month, I hosted a roundtable to discuss how agencies and organizations can expand outdoor and nature-centric activities here in New York State for veterans, particularly those suffering from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, from military sexual trauma, those struggling with substance abuse and in recovery, and those experiencing other service-related challenges. We discussed how outdoor and nature-based activities benefit veterans, which is already medically proven. We discussed opportunities for state agencies and partner organizations to coordinate the use of land and other ways that New York can better serve barriers, breaking down the kinds of barriers that would keep somebody, for example, from New York City, to understanding how therapeutic it is to spend a day looking out on our beautiful Hudson River, because they have no experience with that at all. I also fought for a state budget this year that provides significant funding for programs to help veterans access mental health services, including $4 million for the Joseph P. Dwyer Veteran Peer Support Program, which has been enormously effective throughout the state. The program offers vet-to-vet counseling to provide a safe and supportive environment for members who have experienced everything from mental health and behavioral issues to physical injuries, because the peer-to-peer commitment is definitely the most effective when it comes to people trusting and learning what can be done to change their trajectory. We also helped restore more than $1.6 million in the state budget for programs that will help veterans build full, rewarding lives at home, from finding a job to providing counseling to helping out with daily needs to making sure that families and parents and spouses have access to jobs and other opportunities. I want to thank all of our veterans, active duty service members, and their families for their service and their selflessness. We cannot forget the lives tragically and prematurely lost fighting for our country, our Constitution, and our freedoms. And because I cannot make a speech in Hyde Park or anywhere else for that matter without quoting Eleanor or Franklin Roosevelt, I conclude with President Roosevelt's own memorable call to freedom, which the commander of the USS Roosevelt also cited. This is from the January 6, 1941 State of the Union, when President Roosevelt said, "In the future days, which we seek to make secure, we look forward to a world founded upon 4 essential freedoms. The first is freedom of speech and expression everywhere in the world. The second is freedoms of every person to worship God in his or her own way everywhere in the world. The third is freedom from want everywhere in the world. The fourth is freedom from fear anywhere in the world. It is a definite basis for a kind of world attainable in our time and in our generation." Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Assemblywoman. There. It is with honor that I introduce our new congressman from the 19th District, right? You got it. Congressman Delgado will address us this Memorial Day.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for your commitment in putting this wonderful event together. It's a pleasure to be here in Hyde Park with all of you. I appreciate the opportunity to honor those who sacrificed and gave the ultimate price for this country. I want to start by thanking Assemblyman Dee Dee Barrett for your tireless work, as you so eloquently detailed in your remarks. I also want to acknowledge Eileen Rohr for your work as town supervisor. I want to thank the Hyde Park Town Board members, David Ray, Joe Marine, Neil Krupnick, and Ken Schneider. Thank you all for the work that you do. I know that Dutchess County Legislator Will Truitt was in the parade earlier. I'm not sure if he's still here. So too with State Senator Stu Serino. I want to acknowledge them for their service
public service. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out today and joining the Memorial Day Parade. It's great to see so many people out and honoring our soldiers and our fallen heroes. Today we take time to remember and honor the service of those who made the ultimate sacrifice to protect our freedoms at home and abroad. The men and women of the armed forces who lost their lives in active military service in order to keep us safe and secure. They are heroes who died defending the freedoms we hold dear. We also recognize the pain their families are required to endure in their absence. And as we honor those service members who made the ultimate sacrifice, I think it is important to reflect upon the values and principles they so courageously defended. These values are profoundly inscribed in the preamble of the American Legion's Constitution. Notably, as detailed earlier, the American Legion is celebrating 100 years of service this year. Here are the words from the preamble. For God and country, we associate ourselves together for the following purposes: to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, to maintain law and order, to foster and perpetuate a 100% Americanism, to preserve the memories and incidents of our associations in the great wars, to inculcate a sense of individual obligation to the community, state, and nation, to combat the autocracy of both classes and the masses, to make right the master of might, to promote peace and goodwill on earth, to safeguard and transmit to posterity the principles of justice, freedom, and democracy, to consecrate and sanctify our comradeship by our devotion to mutual helpfulness. It is important, very important, to revisit these words and values because they serve as a reminder to us all of the unity of purpose we share as Americans and the profound meaning that lies in every instance we lose a service member on the battlefield. The values continue to resonate today as values we as Americans seek to emulate and hold at the core of our nation. In honoring our fallen soldiers, we must never forget these values, and we must always stay ready to declare our allegiance to our flag and our country, express our commitment to the unity of our nation, and promise to defend liberty and justice for all. We must also never forget the family members of those we have lost, who have also made an immense sacrifice for our great land. When we lose a service member in war, the country grieves for them, but their families are left without a mother or a father, a wife or a husband, a sister or a brother, a daughter or a son. As we remember and honor the lives of our service members, may this day of remembrance and our expressions of love, tribute, and heartfelt gratitude be of comfort to those families faced with the enduring pain of losing a loved one in service to America. For our fallen soldiers, their families, and the meaning behind their sacrifice, let us never forget. Thank you all. God bless you all. God bless America.
Thank you, Congressman Gonzalez. I'd like to invite Pastor Gabor to give the benediction, please.
Friends, go forward this day as grateful recipients, entrusted with the stewardship of this great nation that others have defended with their lives. Let us pursue peace with one another as a sacred trust that life might no longer be the cost of the pursuit of happiness and freedom. Go forward to live in the fullness of our human potential, to guarantee peace and freedom in all that you do. And know that even as you go, God goes forward with you in strength, wisdom, and power, now and always. In his name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Gabor. I'd like to invite Miss Lena Del Vecchio to sing God Bless America, and if the audience would join in, it would be great.
God bless America, the land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you very much. This afternoon at 1:30 at the FDR Rose Garden, there will be a wreath-laying ceremony. Hyde Park American Legion will take place, and other organizations. It's a beautiful ceremony. If you're free, I invite you to go down to the Rose Garden and witness it. All right? And hopefully the peonies might be open. They have a beautiful field of peonies there. All right, what we have in front of us is a basket of poppies. The poppy is a symbol of the fallen soldiers of World War I, and it's become a symbol of all fallen soldiers. Where they were buried in Flanders Fields, thousands and thousands and thousands of fallen soldiers. The poppy was a native plant to that area, and when it was all smoothed off and the graves were all lined up, the poppies came out and gave honor to the fallen soldiers of all the wars. So if you would like to have a poppy, please come up and take a poppy and remember the fallen veterans of all the wars. I now conclude the ceremony. Thank you for coming, and have a great weekend, and remember the fallen warriors of all the wars. Thank you.